Hello everyone, welcome to the Ghost of Tsushima Spoilercast and review from the GigaBoots Podcast Network. I'm your host, Dan Video Games, and we're joined by the usual crew today. Luckily, we got them all. We got Bob Video Games from GigaBoots.com.
Hey everybody.
We got KZ from KZExcellent.com.
I'm going to reflect on drowning people.
And Mr. Feel from Mr. Feel's Wild Ride.
Casey fucking took mine.
My last haiku was the one that was a total pain in the ass to find, so I was like, reflect on how much this was a pain in the ass to find.
Was it the very first one?
No, technically it's one of the first couple. It's the one where you have to talk to a person in town and then a person outside of town, and then
That's meant to be the tutorial one. That was also the last one I did.
That was my final haiku and final hot spring.
Same. For those who haven't listened to one of our spoiler casts before, what we do is we talk about the game for an extended period of time, our experiences with it, what we thought about various aspects of it, and then at the end of this, we will give it a score. We don't want people to hold the score as the primary thing they're thinking of throughout the entire spoiler cast, and hopefully
we know better.
By the end, listening to the four of us, you will understand why each of us arrived at the numbers that we did. However, what we like to do is start these off with a short synopsis of roughly how we feel and some sort of sound that might convey our emotion.
I forgot about the sound part. This is going to be good.
So did I.
So it's always weird for the host to go first. It's like some dude inviting you to his birthday party and he's like, no one can eat cake until I'm done eating my slice of my cake.
You have to.
So we're gonna go ahead and start. We're gonna start with KZ. KZ, just give us a couple sentences on how you feel about the game, and then make a sound that conveys your overall feeling.
It's a pretty cool game. I got the platinum, so I guess I like it. Yo.
Dong. Next, we're gonna go to Bob. Bob, give us a couple sentences and convey your feelings.
It's really interesting. I like the stealth stuff a lot. I think the combat's got a ton of problems, but I'll give it a
Okay, we'll go to Mr. Feel next. Mr. Feel?
I really liked this. It constantly gave my brain the good brain chemicals.
I knew it!
I have some issues with the writing. Also, all Ubisoft games are bad. I'm going to give it a
I don't know how I'm going to be able to cope if Mr. Field turns into Scoob.
You see, I thought his sound was Yoda.
That's because you're used to, like, The Last Jedi crazy puppet Yoda.
Hey!
Ghost of Tsushima is a very beautiful game in most cases. It is not the most technically impressive game when it comes to character models and other things, but some of the vistas in this game are some of the best seen in a video game to date. The level design really needs level design. But overall, a delightful game. I'm going to give it a And with that out of the way, let's go ahead and get started on talking about how the writing is not psychotically awful sucker punched here.
yeah, this has to be the best thing they've written.
That's
Oh no!
What's your problem with my honor, my ghost?
That's not like the story. The story itself is kind of dumb, but God, those side characters are so much worse than the main story.
Here's the thing, though. Here's the best part. I don't think anyone in the story makes the mistake that each and every one of those side characters is a sociopath.
What are you talking about?
Yeah.
When I think of stable characters, I think of Lady Masako.
I hate her so much. I hate her. She might be the one I hate the most.
I kind of like seeing her just mental state degrade. I don't know.
Because
what happened, Phil? Did you hit the mission where it's like, okay, this person has information on the people that fucked over your family. Okay, you got to make sure not to kill them or anything. Okay. Seconds later, I'ma kill him. You kill people, so I get to kill people now. And I'm like, it's been 4 seconds.
That's 3 missions.
Yes, but I'm talking about that one where it happens after 5 seconds in dialogue, where she agrees and says, "No, I changed my mind in 5 seconds." Also, you're going to fight me at the end of this mission.
It just, the whole time it reminded me of that Eminem song when he's just like, hey man, don't fuck this up this time, okay? And he goes, I'm not, okay. And he's like, don't kill anybody. And he goes, all right. And they start holding up the bank, and then like he goes, calm down. I'm not gonna kill you. You hear a gun go off and he goes, thank you. And I'm just like, God. Lady Masako should not be reminding me of an Eminem song, is all I'm saying.
Can I get someone to like do an edit of her character model to just be like The Last of Us 2, but it's her?
You know, honestly, I kept thinking about that while playing this. I was
did
like,
too,
everyone does a big murder.
Because the Last of Us 2 is the cycle of violence must end. It doesn't work. Every single part of Ghost of Tsushima is, son, you gotta get revenge.
It's really good.
It's the motivation of every single character except the villain.
Which is great because
Vill's just having a good time.
The villain is having a good time, sure, absolutely, but he's still just garbage because he's invading, you know, a homeland and taking things, and then he keeps being like, I'm trying to offer peace. He's like that piece of shit, like freeloading roommate who doesn't pay rent, sleeps on your couch, and he's just like, hey, well, I'm taking the moral high ground here.
I don't know. Compared to all the other, compared to Shimura, I'm like, you know what? Let's go. Let's give the Empire of the Khans a chance.
Giving Khans
the
a
Mongol
chance.
Empire a shot.
No,
I don't know. Literally everywhere in the game world is just some place that's been raped, pillaged, and burnt.
It's true.
Okay, if I'm on that guy's side, it's fine.
No, they show people who are on his side, and they're still under some weird military state.
You know,
yeah, but Bob.
Maybe this game should have had the morality system of Infamous, because Field seems to would have been appealed by it.
You have 2 choices, Bob.
Uh-huh.
The Mongols or the guy who's like, we need to charge that bridge that has explosives at the end. Nothing else we can do.
Oh yeah, no, Shimura is dumb and terrible.
Yeah.
Like, I am Honor Man, obviously in the wrong a lot of the time.
Mm-hmm.
But he's not literally killing his own people for no reason.
Yet.
I would like to state, you know, it's once again, as I said, I think it does it better than Infamous does, because you know, our main character here seems pretty aware that Lady Masako is unhinged. He assists her a couple times when it's clear he also wants things from the people she's investigating, like he wants to get to the bottom of it too. So him assisting a psychopath like that is a little questionable. But I feel like there have been moments in prior Sucker Punch games where the writing has been like, I blew up a bus full of orphans. That's okay. One of them spit on you. Like,
you know what? We absolutely would have gotten that if they hadn't ripped the morality system out of this game.
Yeah, I spent a lot of this because, for people who don't know, a lot of the early press and stuff, they were talking about how you play the game affects how the villagers and other people think of you, whether you're honorable samurai or using more of the techniques of the ghosts. And as far as I can tell, all it does is cause the lightning in the game. Like thunderstorms start striking up if you do more ghost kills. I think that's the only thing that remains of that. Yeah, it's actually really cool. That's because
why?
I thought it was coincidental. Just turns out I went on a ghost murder spree right before I got to the second act. So
I didn't know until later that it's like, yeah, if you play the flute, it stops the storm.
Actually, if you collect enough crickets, you can set it to a song that makes the storm come.
Yeah, there's 4 different songs.
Yeah. Therefore, I only got 2 by the end of it.
Yeah, I like that big E3 gameplay thing they showed, which turned out to be the mission in which you fight Lady Masako, which is the most contrived, dumb fight in the game.
Oh, no. I don't know what you're talking about. Lady Masako's unfucking hinged. That was 100% expected almost. I'm just shocked you didn't have to literally kill her.
Right. I bet if the morality system was there.
Yeah, oh, no. Instead, it's a conversation of, stop trying to attack me, please. Oh, okay, let's go.
I think she spent most of that fight just being pissed that he let the monk get away.
The monk that did nothing and was then confirmed to do nothing after she took out one of his eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, she's unhinged.
She's fucking completely unhinged.
Somehow she's still better than Ellie, but I think that's because we have a level-headed person trying to control her.
Meanwhile, everyone with Ellie's like, hey, Ellie, they'll probably die. Isn't that justice? And then Ellie goes, no. But yeah, no, it's shocking how much that E3 show from 2018 is just in the game. I always expect E3 moments to be so changed that they're unrecognizable.
Right.
But that mission's almost 100% identical to that showing.
I meant to go rewatch the showing because
I just did while we were talking about this, just to look at it.
Is Masako using a naginata?
No, she's using a katana.
Okay. For some reason, I remembered her using one in that E3 showing.
She was using her trademark bow and arrow for most of it.
Okay.
I do love that I've seen people on Twitter fucking losing it. They're like, haiku poem structure was not common during this time.
Yeah, every single person going, this didn't exist then, neither did this. And I'm like, go in a locker, please.
The best part is when one guy was like, that sort of grappling hook thing did exist, but people didn't just carry it around all the time. And I'm like, yeah, he's the ghost. What do you fucking...
Right?
He's like, oh, don't want to stand out. Carrying around this grapple hook's weird. Okay, we got to talk about the sad part because I've been waiting days to lament the loss of my honorable Nobu, which was my horse.
Yeah, that's why I made a tweet saying, I hit Act 3. I hate this game, by the way.
That's the only character that died that I felt anything about.
I think the monk's brother, Norio's brother, was really fucked up.
Was
that was really fucked up, but I didn't feel sad.
I wasn't sad.
I didn't know him.
He was just mortified. I mean, they tell you a decent chunk about him before you meet him. You assume he's dead for hours, basically.
Yeah, you assume he's dead for, most of the game.
Yeah.
Gets it bad.
Yeah, no, that was brutal. I was like, oh no, I didn't think this game would go as far as maiming. Oh shit.
Yeah, that was intense. Also, losing your horse really feels bad because you never get as good a horse again. You're like stuck with a cuck horse.
No, you get that mission where you get a real horse to get the name.
They still don't look as good as your first horse.
And apparently you can just keep the current horse. You don't actually have to get a new one when she's like, I need you to go get a better horse.
Is
like,
it a consistent horse? I thought it was just like a random one that had just spawned in at the time.
When your horse first dies, you get a random horse, but then you get to pick one of 3 with right
Yuna. Before the mission where you leave your dad the note by sneaking into his castle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which I didn't do until the very end, so I did the entire third area before that. So I was just like
with the little scrawny dude.
So I just found out some information that's amazing, but a lot to deal with. The actor for Koden Khan literally looks exactly like the model.
Yeah, I think that's the way it was all these actors.
That's fucking nuts.
Wonderful.
Because I remember...
Yes, because now he's recognizable to anyone who played the game. I think that's really special.
That's like the Yakuza 0 bad guys who all are the exact same, and it's terrifying.
Because I remember...
I can't deal with this. No. No.
For anyone who's curious, his name's Patrick Gallagher. I posted a link for you guys to see, but yeah, he's that's really
it's
special.
Just him, but smaller.
I remember when they first came out, Yuna's voice actress was also like, she looks just like me. It was just a super angry looking Yuna. It's like, okay.
Oh, that's great.
I liked my horse a lot.
Yeah.
I like
that fucked me up super hard because I'm just like, no. I'm thinking about when I clear camps and we just sleep together in the middle of a field just hanging out.
The only time that there's loading in the game.
At least you get a new name for your horse when you get the second one. So I got to name the second horse Kaze, which wasn't available to begin with.
Yeah, that's what I named mine too. But I'm like,
Yeah,
I want to call you Nobu too.
I named my second horse Kage because I was feeling pretty depressed at the time.
Oh no, I used Kage. I went with Kage too.
I also was Feel, so I waited a very long time to get this new one.
I'm losing it. The headshot for the actor for Gene Sakai is much more handsome than the character model.
Oh no!
Holy shit!
No. Now you're just reminding me of the Nagoshi, the guy who in charge of Yakuza, saying, "I really respect Sucker Punch by making the main character ugly."
Okay, that looks photoshopped.
I mean, one, you may be right. Two, it's a very professional photo regardless.
Yes.
Three,
I think it's just like the same guy, but they made him older and more haggard looking.
yeah, he's much more deeply tanned in the game, and his beard is much less handsome 5 o'clock shadow.
It's like if you left him out to dry for a few days.
This is him uncured and cured. We salted our main character.
Well
here's
done.
A picture of him. Here's a picture of him making that exact expression that you always use in comparisons.
No.
Okay, this is too good. This is too good. What an avalanche of information to get in the middle of a spoiler cast. How very distracting. I regret everything. But yeah, no, that moment with the horse, I was like, of course you did this. I'm so upset.
Of course my horse is this cool that he'll just keep going.
Yeah, no, that was brutal. It was a lot to deal with. That actually got me because Tosh, my girlfriend, was writing me really hard about how I kept making Nobu jump down mountains, and she's like, Nobu's gonna get hurt, and I'm like, Nobu's fine, Nobu's invincible. And then that happened.
Jin literally has lines of, when this is all over, I'm just gonna take you for a ride.
Yeah, I'm gonna take you for a nice casual ride out in the country. Whew, man. Okay.
Like the hot tub where he's like, when this is over, I'm going to eat a bunch of pears.
I love it because at one point, I wish I screenshotted it. Hot Springs like, what would you like to reflect upon? Your favorite food? My dead horse.
Yeah.
Aww.
Yeah.
I just picked food.
Yes, of course I picked the food.
Speaking of incredibly strong choices, the choice at the end to kill your uncle. We're going to go to KZ first. KZ, what did you choose?
I'm gonna have to, I liked him, so I killed him.
Yeah, that's
because he wanted that.
Yeah, that's what I did too. It was really rough. That ending was really, really rough, and probably the most cogent ending a Sucker Punch game has ever had. Infamous 1 had a really good ending, but it's not impactful in the same. Well, actually, it kind of was, but that's beside the point. Feel, what did you go with?
I assumed that's where it was going, so I had intended to kill him, but then on the ride he said, you taught people not to obey their leaders, and I'm like, you get to live in shame.
Bob, what did you pick?
I chose not to kill him too.
For that same reason, right? You're just flossing on your uncle?
No, I was just like, man, if I kill him, the Shogunat's going to send someone else who's probably worse. That was my main thought.
Well, then you just kill him too.
It's really, it's funny because my assumption was just, well, he this is what he wants. This is a way to make peace with my like foster dad in a way. Just doing this, it'll be fine. And then back in my mind, I'm like, if he just goes and says that he failed to kill me, he might just come kill himself anyway in shame and sadness. And I'm like, oh.
Yeah, that's probably what he did.
And then and then when I checked out the Spoilercast, Nate Fox was on when they asked him, so what do you do? He's like, the canon ending is to let him live, but I kill him every time because I like him. It's like, if you like that character, you'll do that.
I felt like I was stuck between a rock and a hard place. I wouldn't say I liked Shimura.
Not by the end, I didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of different things where he could have turned, if he wasn't so honor bound and was willing to just lie to troops and be like, no, I don't know about the ghost. What's that? Everything could have worked out fine.
I'm sorry, but you're a villain. You circulated poison across that island. It's rough.
There are military tactics other than human wave tactics. No, that sounds like dishonor to me.
That sounds like dishonor to me. What's that, Gene? You could go in and wipe out most of them and, help us save countless lives? That sounds like dishonor to me.
Yeah. I like when he shits his pants and you going full ghost mode at one point where you just, sneak in over the door and just, cut a dude's head off and just go, come get some! And he's like, what the fuck?
That might be the moment where my eyes almost rolled out of my head because it felt cartoonish.
Yes.
Like the door opening at the exact moment Jin cuts off his head from behind.
It was a Frasier moment. It's like that episode of Frasier where he beheaded someone and then his grandpa or his father came in and he's like, Frasier, what are you doing?
Should I watch Frasier?
No, probably not. It's excruciating at times.
It's so crazy because it's like, are your archers never shooting people in the back? Like it happens. It's a war. You're killing guys in mass.
Yeah,
right.
Like they conflate. Let me put it on record here. I do not endorse mass poisoning of enemy forces.
Whatever. The Geneva Conventions weren't made yet.
You're right. When it's like we counted the innocent people we blew up with a drone as combatants, so it's fine that we killed them.
Oh yeah, that's definitely morally right. As an American, I definitely agree with decisions like that.
But
kind of raw.
Shimura's just like, no, formations are dishonor. Cover is dishonor. Dodging it. He's basically Jiren.
Yes.
An attack that takes advantage of an opponent's weakness is not true honor.
Yeah. Okay, as much as I think the honor stuff's funny, I started wanting to give up on honor with those standoffs. Because once you reach Act 3, it's like, I'm losing almost all of these
really
fucking
hard.
ones.
They get really hard.
Then at one point, it's like, all right, 15 seconds before they even go in, and then they fake me out again. But then I got one where they attacked me immediately after 2 seconds. I'm like, fuck you, I can't win.
This is really funny.
They become really hard. I figured I came up with the strategy of look at their feet.
Yeah, that's absolutely
and just release the button when their feet move. But even in the last area, it's still really hard.
Well, it's funny because they have the effect of making the tension grow by slowly zooming, and they psych you out so many times in the third area that between them psyching you and it's zooming in, it's hard to keep track of their body movement by anything other than their feet. I think by the third act, though, I was only failing about maybe 10 or 15% of those and killing five guys every time I succeeded. So it seemed like overall in the combat, I felt like it was cheesecake, like all of it. Bob, what were you're making sounds.
Whenever they send out a spear guy for that, I'm just like, I should just give up. This is always annoying.
Holy shit. I didn't realize everyone hated this so much.
Because the spear guy is literally just like, I can't figure out where your animation even is. I release it when I think that I should, and it's like, oh, it was too early. He hit you.
The spear guys are the hardest ones for me because they just poke you real fast when they go. And everybody else like kind of rears up and you have a second. But then I got the Mongol armor and just like, I'm going to walk up to your face, wave hello, and then assassinate you and 3 other guys.
I had that with one of the leaders where they barely even had any notice of me walking up to them, and I got the slaughter command to just chop off their head.
So one of the weak areas of this game, I feel, is the combat. I was expecting more melee weapons to be unlocked or the sword stances to feel substantially different. But ultimately, I feel like they expanded projectiles to an insane extent. But the only expansion I felt was palpable and meaningful in combat going through the game was the Heavenly Strike, the Dance of Wrath, and the Fire Sword thing, which ironically I didn't get until after beating Khoten Khan.
I got it it was very close. Like maybe the last 6 hours of the main game playing it. But yeah.
Yeah, I expected any additional melee weapons because while the sword combat's great, I don't feel like the stances feel different enough for it to feel like drastically different abilities per se. I know that each one has a different, triangle and combat combo based on that.
I think that it would have helped a lot if things weren't like, to get the cool kick where it knocks someone down, you have to hold triangle button in this stance. Just like make that the triangle button. I'm only in the stance for one reason.
Well, I mean, make that the triangle button, and more importantly, like you could make that a command input and then make one of those for each stance.
Yeah. No,
make it something that is instantly appreciably different. Like make you using the sword feel drastically different. Put it so there are special moves on each.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the largest failings of this game.
I would even have fewer stances because switching between stances feels terrible because you have to hold the R2 button.
It does. I didn't switch at all. I did not switch at all. I was born in stone stance. I died in stone stance.
I did my best to keep switching so that way I could play the game on its supposed terms. It did jack shit for me. So after hours of doing that, I just stopped. It commits one of the worst crimes a game can. I'm not sure if most people hate this as much as I do, but it's just the worst. When a game goes, in order to change this or to do this, hit these 2 buttons, hit this button, then that button. And you can do that. You can hit R2 and then hit the other thing. But since R2 is a weird, I'm entering a slow-mo phase, and then you can select a thing, there's so many times where I'm like, okay, let's get back to stone stance. I hit R2, and I give it like, I don't know, 200 milliseconds or something, and then I hit X. What happens is I do a dumb slow-mo jump, and now I'm staring at Jin in midair, not in stone stance.
Yeah, that happened
Reflecting
constantly.
on your dead horse.
That's part of why I stopped switching. I like played with each one a little bit, and then I'm like, no, I'm just going to go to the first one.
I mean, I would look and go, oh man, this is the big enemy. I'll switch to that stance so I can do mash triangle to break their posture.
Yeah. Which I felt like the ones that justified it the most were the shield guys. I feel like those were the ones where it's like, it really helps to use the, I believe it was the water stance to keep mashing triangle and knock their shield away. Everyone else was like...
I felt like it mattered a decent bit when you're fighting like a group of enemies, and I'm like, I need this person out now.
Interesting strategy. What I did was throw a bomb at one of them and kill 5 at once.
Oh man, let me tell you my best story about that. No. So there's the mission where you go and you investigate that town where there's we keep dying to sickness, sir. It's terrible. And then they just sort of tell you to go away. And then you're like, I need to investigate. And then a random guy shows up and he leads you to the building where they clearly murdered the men and then the women are missing or something like that. You go off to a nearby village. You find the women. They're held by Mongols. I killed them all. I come back to the village and Sota's there. And he's like, Lord, what happened? And he's like, I found the women, Sota, blah, blah, blah. And Sota's like, please don't punish us all. Just punish me. And he's like, fine, Sota, have it your way. And Sota is like kneeling in front of you. All the other people who are complicit in his crimes are lining the sides. I threw an explosive bomb, knocked all of them on their ass, killed most of them. Sota's dead. One guy's like screaming and crawling on the ground, just barely alive. And my guy, Jin, completely scripted, goes, "The rest of you may live."
That is great. My method was shooting him with a rage dart, which killed him instantly, which I thought was hilarious.
He blew a blood vessel.
Yes. He just shattered like the Bubsy 3D death screen.
He shot him with a rage dart, and he just went ass and died.
every Sony open world game this gen has given you a mind control dart.
I actually haven't played much of Horizon, and I haven't played Spider-Man.
Is there a mind control dart in Spider-Man?
Oh, not Spider-Man. I forgot about Spider-Man.
Okay, I was like, I don't remember
Days
this is
Gone.
Spider-Man.
I was thinking of Days
like-
Gone, Horizon, and this.
Was it like, what was it, like Psycho Web?
God, yes, that'd be great.
He has nanomachines.
If this is in Miles Morales.
When I started thinking about other Sony open world games and comparing it to this, I was like, see, Bob, the blue Skittles you find in Infamous, to extend your energy bar, they were made exciting in Second Son by put on drones. Why aren't the haiku spots on drones?
I wish...
It's a fox being dragged around the countryside by a drone.
Thank you, Aggro.
I enjoyed the haiku spots. I thought they were neat.
They were okay.
I enjoyed some of the stuff. I feel like the reward from the haiku stuff made it the least prioritized pickup.
That is also how I felt about it.
It's just headbands, and I'm never gonna wear a headband.
Yeah,
And there's
every headband was
19 of them.
No, there's only one
There's
good
no-
headband. It's the headband of death, because it has blood on it and it has the character for death. And I'm like, this is raw.
I guess there's also the headband of the Second Son.
Yes, there's also the headband of the Second Son and the Sly Cooper one. And the Sly Cooper one's so good.
It should have just been a beanie. It should have been a beanie of the Second Son for no reason.
It should have been. That's true.
That would have been good.
Dan wouldn't have survived to be able to make it to the spoiler cast if it was that.
The final armor in the game when you max upgrade it is a Denim Jack.
Yes, the final upgrade makes Jin look like Delson. Oh man, I love being Troy Baker.
One of the face options in photo mode is to do the trademark smirk that Delson does in the first Infamous trailer.
Yes! I gotta play that game again. It's
Dude, I'm doing it
easily
on
a masterpiece.
I'm doing it on PS5 because they have a 4K mode. So I think the PS5 performance may actually boost that insanely. We have to
I
see.
need to do it. I need to shake my DualSense like it's a spray can and it goes.
Dude, here's what they're totally gonna do. They're not gonna do this. They're gonna reprogram the rumble so that way when you pull the trigger to spray, it feels like you're shooting a spray can.
It'd be really cool if we got to see an update like that, because it could also make it feel like there's literally the little ball going around inside the controller using that new vibration.
That's true. And then when you put your thumbs on the touchpad, like at the scan-in station, it can shock you. The DualSense has this technology for sure.
So you mentioned the Sly Cooper armor, and I want to point out that it's like when I heard about it before I actually knew it was a thing. So I was like, oh, okay, so it's like I'm gonna look like Sly. It'll be like a shirt or something, right? And then I learned no, it's the Gosaku armor, but you get a different paint thing for it. And I'm like, oh yeah, that armor where I got every single farm saved to unlock it, and then I wore it and went, yeah, no, I'm good.
Yeah, no, that's a real shame about the farm armors. Like, I feel like the Gosaku one is really bad, and then there's a second one, kind of, isn't there?
Yeah, there's the one where you do all the duels.
I'm trying to think of what you get from that one.
Tensei armor or something.
Yeah, I think that's right. I don't think that one was very great either.
Yeah, it gave you extra resolve bonuses, and it made ghost weapons do more damage, but most of them already kill people really easily, so it's hard to justify.
Yeah, no, it's like...
And it's sad because this looks really cool.
The combat in this game in general was cheesecake before I got halfway done with the second act, probably by the beginning of the first act, because I did the whole first island, and then I moved on to the second. So when it kept stacking on abilities like you now have Ghost Stance, I'm like, game, this was a one-sided battle, and you just handed me a nuke. Are you fucking serious?
You see, this is another great example of I was bad at the game, so I thought the combat was even better. Ghost Stance was great.
What were you gonna say, Bob?
I
Oh
like
my
getting
God.
Ghost Stance because I think the combat's really bad. So if I don't have to engage with it much, it's better.
Are you trying to tell me Bob hates the combat in a game released recently? I'm shocked.
I think that's more my trademark at this point because of our Fallen Order review. Speaking of which, I think that combat's better than this, which is...
Yeah, no, it is.
It's given me a lot of complicated feeling.
This game really desperately needs a targeting system. There were 100 times where I'm like, okay, Jin, hit the one closest to you. Please. The one right next to you attacking the villager? No,
No, you gotta angle the stick toward the enemy.
I do.
I don't know, man.
But there's another enemy at a 0.5 degree difference that's a mile away that Jin wants to hack at.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like you don't have full control of those thumbs.
It's real bad how Jin will just rampantly target whatever he wants. For example, isn't just limited to enemies. You climb up a ledge. You know how they have the get down the ledge real quick or make this easier because platforming is hard? Hit R2 function on a lot of the ledges in the game. Well,
Yes.
so I just climbed up that ledge. There's a thing to crawl through right in front of me. I step 4 steps away from that. I'm now 1 step away from the crack. I hit R2. He throws out his arms and jumps backwards all the way off the ledge.
Yes, that happens a lot. Another thing that that happened a lot was I get out of the hot spring. My horse is right there.
No.
I want to get on my horse. I smash cut to Jin's ass.
I did that
Yes.
once.
The R2 button is pulling way too much like things.
Yeah.
It is. It gave me Final Fantasy 15 flashbacks.
Yes.
Imagine if they had the same problem where you're trying to pick up materials and he just jumps.
No, instead I'm trying to pick up materials and then the drugs hit because everything goes into slow motion.
Yeah, and then you hit the R2 button and he climbs in a hole you can't see while he's trying to pick up stuff.
Meanwhile, I'm trying to engage with the combat, and they're like, "You're almost a Ghost Stance." I'm like, "Oh, good, some random thing's gonna shoot me, and I'm gonna want to tear my hair out because this has happened 6 times in a row."
Every time I go through a crawl through in Ghost of Tsushima, I can't help but think, and this isn't even a bit, guys. This is real.
Oh.
This is real. Every time I enter it, it's such a weird first-person perspective with the camera moving in such a weird way, and the fidelity of the game itself just dropped a shitload. I think of the Banjo-Tooie first-person shooter segments every
Why?
time.
Why
It just
would you think of that?
because it looks so weird and it's so jarring. It's such a different look from the rest of the game. Like the
Jin, slam your face into dynamite.
Could you?
You gotta your hitbox is a small point in the center.
It does almost feel like you're playing Doom 1.
Yeah, it starts to feel like a Doom clone, even though you're just crawling through a thing. It's really bizarre. Man, yeah, I feel like also like so. My 3 major complaints with this game, combat. We just went over a bit of that. If anyone has anything else they wanted to talk about, obviously we could come back later, but I was going to roll into the next thing. I feel like the level design is really bad in that there are like 4 levels in the game if you think about it traditional video game level style. So you have sieges on castles, you have the ending segment with Kodan Khan, and the ending fight with Kodan Khan is the least well put together of all of them.
that might be the funniest shit ever because you fight a duel with him, and I had stocked up, and I went, "This is the first time I'm doing the truly honorable thing, which is go stance, rip him apart, then just L1 R1 3 times in a row."
Yeah, that was hilarious because he's
And
like,
then
"I
it
beat you before," as he's dying.
Yeah, no,
Yeah, and then he falls on his ass, then scurries away, and then you do the next section where they're like, "Okay, he's gonna fight you alongside the other enemies." and I was beating him up, and then you get the cutscene again where it's like you beat phase 2 of him in the wild, and my brain went, "Oh, I'm fighting Koden Khan right now. I thought this was just a really hard enemy." I didn't actually know that it was him.
God.
I was like, "Oh shit, he's just a normal dude," because I'm used to bosses having health bars.
Right. And
I thought that was a cool idea. It wasn't. It wasn't pulled off that well, but I think it's a really neat idea. Be like, yeah, the boss is just mixed in there with a bunch of other dudes.
Well, all I did was massacre everyone else with explosive arrows and then ran around on the ship shooting him in the face with arrows because I'm like, this game is hilarious.
I like that they just allow you to make fun of their fucking final battle.
It is kind of funny. It's kind of reminiscent of like, you psychically convinced the final boss to kill himself. Like
it's because
that's stupid.
The reason I figured out that it was him at the end was I was like, oh, yeah, you have to be Koden Khan because you're the only human in this video game that doesn't allow me to either critical or kill them when I throw smoke directly in front of them.
See, I figured it out because it was like, oh, he blocks the fire arrow and nobody else in the entire game does that. They just get set on fire and become unable to do anything.
I mean, he looks significantly different. Like I
he's
had no
stocky,
problem
huge,
figuring out it was him.
Yeah, big, full silver armor.
Yeah, because I didn't actually have any difficulty, but I'm like, how are you different? Oh, that one way. Good thing I have 6 sticky bombs. Throw.
I was like, oh man, he is different. He survived more than 2 heavenly strikes after the armor was broken.
If you have the fire sword, he has no answer.
Nobody does.
He's just
no
like,
one has an answer.
Why are you doing
Nobody
this to
has an
me?
answer for anything. Once you get the Dance of Wrath, it's just like, I don't want to engage with duels anymore, so I'll just do it twice. That's the end of you.
Okay, one time a couple times it freaked out during duels where it's like first hit they block and then they're like, I'm gonna go at you from this direction, and then I zoom across the screen because they moved out of the way.
It's weird because I feel like the level design and boss design in a lot of the Infamous games was weirdly enough stronger because they weren't afraid to, you reach an area, we're gonna load a bespoke level, you know?
Yeah. I wish they had done that here.
I'm trying to remember. I only played Second Son. So I'm trying to remember bosses in that, and I'm only thinking of the big dumb rock one toward the end.
Yeah, the big dumb rock one was big and dumb and rock.
I remember that being awful for some reason.
I remember it being mildly better than Koden Khan. That's not a high bar, I don't think. I feel like the Koden Khan segment, the whole ending level should have had more build up instead of...
the Koden Khan one is literally just normal boss fight, and then we load him in as a normal enemy with 6 times more health.
Yeah, it's an Assassin's Creed boss.
And the build up to him isn't even like it's not a good build up from what you're doing to lead up to him. Like
I feel like the segment should have been like twice as long.
Or had something more remarkable than I'm doing the same shit I've done throughout the rest of the game of running into a vague village-shaped thing, killing 4 people. A voice line plays and now we're on a boat. Like even earlier in the game when you're on the boats, I believe you were investigating it with Norio.
Ryuzo. Okay,
you do it with both of them for different things, I think. If I'm remembering correctly. But yeah, Ryuzo. There's a good buildup of stealthing through the boat and all these other things, and like, oh, it isn't here, we need to go to the next one. I feel like that set piece where the Straw Hats are being unleashed on the beach to distract them is a much better structure for a level than the ending of the game. Like, yeah, I was expecting a little bit more like that.
It shocked me how quickly it escalated, where they're like, all right, you did this mission, we're starting, and you're running toward it, and it's like 3 or 4 minutes. And then you're doing the duel against him. And I'm like, this escalated pretty quickly. Because even like taking the other 2 castles had more.
Yeah, like like Act 2's ending is way more involved than the end of the game.
Oh yeah, 100%.
That's some really good stuff.
And Act 1 also, they just feel more explosive and bombastic in terms of what's. Because you have like that duel with Ryuzo at the end of the first act. Where it's like, oh man, he betrayed you, and then you have another high octane section of retaking the castle right after it.
Yeah, no, that's I wanted to see more things like that in this game, more bespoke levels, instead of everything.
I loved that first castle you take, because it was the first time I got the assassinate someone from behind the door, which is sick.
Oh yeah, that's when they unlock that ability. God, what did they call that again? Like a Kengo assassination or something? No, I can't remember. Anyways, what were you going to say?
I was just going to say I was really just like frustrated I didn't have it earlier, because I had situations like, I've seen this in trailers. I'm behind the door. Let me kill him.
Bob's playing it from a second son. Why aren't you neon, fucker? I saw it in the trailer.
There's a difference between shooting energy out of your hands and being able to stick the sword through the water.
Well, he was an honorable samurai. He didn't think about. He was expanding his brain. He's getting the cosmic brain. In that level, it occurs to him the first time that he could just be total human garbage.
Let Sucker Punch make Tenchu whatever we're on.
Honestly, I spent most of this thinking about that. I was like, the only reason I like Tenchu a little bit more is that it has levels. If you just took a lot of the things in this game and made levels, I feel like I would be like, hell yeah, this is the successor to that. Like, what a good fucking game.
If I could take out one thing,
okay,
it wouldn't be that. It would be all the missions where you have to follow footprints.
Well, you're saying that, and you're in 4K. I'm over here in 1080p. It's a nightmare.
Yeah, it's just a nightmare. There's no solving it. It's like, please stop.
I'm like,
ma'am.
1080p with my temporal anti-aliasing smudging every last pixel. I might as well be in 720p. And I'm like, is that a footprint? Is it? Oh God, I'm just gonna run in this direction. Also, let's talk about how many times throughout the game you guys took 10 steps in a direction. It's like, hey, return to the play area. Like, I feel like it was non-fucking stop.
I think I encountered that maybe once.
I only had a problem with that once, and because I ran way far from the NPC I was with, because I'm like, oh, I see one of those secret altars over there. I'm gonna go bow at it.
There are several moments where they're like, hey, you need to enter this area. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm looking at it, surveying the situation. And if I circumnavigate over about to the left side of this thing, then it looks like entry's pretty easy. No shit. What happened during that mission is I took not even 8 steps to the left. It immediately screamed, return to the play area. And then it said, you're going up against an overwhelming force, and immediately murdered me for trying to think.
Man, when when Nate Fox said, when I explained to people what this game was to get them into it, because they didn't understand it being a samurai game, I just told them it was Red Dead in Japan, and they got it. And it's reminded me of Red Dead 2, where they're like, no, stop thinking. Go this way.
Having only had cursory experiences with the Red Dead Revolver franchise, yeah, okay, I can see how that would work.
Yeah, because I saw a lot of complaints about Red Dead 2 are like, no, you're being too crafty with thinking about how to approach this. Just follow. Just go that way.
Yeah. But yeah, Bob, I agree that follow footprints is not a great, because also the way they position the camera, you basically have to stare where the horizon is now just ground.
Yeah, they put, for any of those segments, they put the camera right on Jin's back. Like, you see mostly his shoulder.
It's really funny, too, because if you start exiting the play area during one of those segments, it pulls the camera right back out, just so you can realize how fucked the camera is during that.
Thank you so much for recommending the OLED. I would have had no fucking shot on these if I didn't have this OLED 2.5 feet away from me, so I can just squint and go, all right, yep, stick here. Here, we're good.
I wish you could just go into listen mode and see the footprint. Just give me detective vision. Just do it.
I would have liked that for finding things sometimes, like supplies.
Yeah, sometimes it's just like, okay, it's in this vague area, please.
You can wear the thing that makes it rumble when you're within 60 meters. Like that's not good. Why did you upgrade it to a bigger area? That's harder.
Getting the platinum made me feel insane for the records, where it makes a small little like shine, and that's it. And it's very nondescript item.
Yes, it sucked.
And like 7 of the 20 records I got to get the plat, ended up being it's in a room. The room is dark.
Yep.
And it's also within the range of 4 buildings. They're all dark. And I'm like, this is hell.
Yeah, I adjusted the brightness in game. I'm still not sure what the ideal was.
Because at least the banners were something that I could suss out a bit better. I feel like those in general were designed a bit better where they were putting them. Where I was like, oh, you put it up on the roof, I get it, or you put it under this bridge. I see what you're going with this.
Yeah.
So I ended up getting all of those, but those other types of collectibles, like no.
I think the saddest thing when it comes to collectibles is the Mongol artifacts don't pop up with what they are like an Uncharted game.
Yeah, you have to go in.
Yeah.
So you have to dig through menus to see at all what you got. And I'm like, I know people would be way more interested in checking out all of these if it just popped up with a little image of what it was when you picked it up.
And it does that Uncharted thing where it spins.
Yeah. Because
I didn't know.
Yeah.
I just thought it was like, oh, Mongol artifact is like, all right, it's like, you picked up like a feather or something. And then I go in the menu, I'm like, oh, the real.
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly what my experience was, where I was just like, oh man, there are like 20 cool things in here. Holy shit. I wish I
figured that out in Act 3.
Same, in that I figured it out after I beat the game.
I actually noticed super early on, but I didn't want to bother digging through the menu to see it each time.
I feel like I probably noticed super early on too, and then just didn't care, so that I forgot completely. I was like, I don't want to dig through the menus for this. And then I come back and I'm like, holy shit, there's cool shit in here. Somehow I have a dog in my inventory.
God, that's still crazy.
It's really good.
I don't like the dogs. Like the Mongol dogs. Not a fan. Because there's so many times where it's like, all right, they'll die in 2 swipes. You'll get that first swipe, but then they will immediately go into the ground. Like, you just go down.
I always shot them with arrows.
I mean, I think the kunai is great on dogs because you're getting attacked by 2 or 3 and then you kill them all at once.
The kunai is good on everyone.
Yeah, no, so here's the thing. I think the L2 projectiles are kind of a bit of a failure of this game because the 2 bows are incredibly similar. Like, one of them has fire arrows and the other one has explosive arrows that sets people on fire.
I like explosions. So the horses start freaking out, and
then the normal arrows on the big bow will kill people in one shot, even if it's dead center.
Yeah, I know. It's just a damage modifier, but to me, I'm like, this is redundant. We could have had a bow that was both, and then an ammo type that was like better arrow, like something
tungsten arrow.
Yeah, something like that. Then you had the
tungsten arrow.
Yeah, we're playing Ninja Gaiden, right?
Yeah. Tunk. Then you have the throwables, which is wind chime. Okay, neat. Firecracker, which is just wind chime that keeps making sound, apparently.
It can track more than one person at once.
Yeah, I know. And then bomb. It's like, okay, there's another
big
explosive.
fan of bomb.
I'm a huge fan of bomb. I just wish there was more.
I got like 8 kills once.
I wish there was more variety in the L2 stuff. I think the R1 stuff is incredible in the way you can change combat with it. Because that includes the fire sword, that includes the kunai, that includes the sticky bomb. Those are all really cool things, and that how you can incorporate them into combat. I feel like
I think another problem with the L2 stuff is that you don't get like a time slow to switch between them. Like you don't get the proper weapon wheel, so actually switching them during combat's a pain. Like trying to get
switching and throwing and like aiming when you're actually in combat is so hard with the L2 stuff.
Yeah, like if I just heave it on my arrows, it's fine. Sometimes I would go in with the arrow outfit and I'd have like almost infinite concentration. It was really cool, but everything else is just like you should have found some other way to do it.
The funny thing is Bob got concentration way before me because I was busy editing podcasts near the beginning of this playthrough, so I didn't get to keep speed with everyone else. And he's like, the concentration is really helpful. I'm like, I'm already headshotting people and completely obliterating the difficulty of this game. What can concentration do for me? And I was like, Oh, it allows me to just pull up a bow abruptly and then shoot a man who's running for me.
Yeah.
That's how bad it is.
Yeah, no, it's great.
Yeah, I love that. It's incredible.
They,
It's like, oh, the big bruiser's coming in? No, he's not.
Jesus.
now I'm just thinking about, like, man, if they could even do something with the say you hold L2 and then you hit the R1 button to throw stuff instead of shoot arrows or something. Anything to make it easier to use the throwables. Because I was just finding myself, okay, I can start an encounter with the firecrackers, but then I just won't be using my bow for that encounter because it's a pain.
Yeah. It did really have that problem. It was kind of annoying. But yeah, so the third gripe I have with this game, because, combat could be better. Level design, I wish there were more bespoke levels, because as KZ and other people said, first 2 castles, amazing. The ending sucks. I wish there was more stuff like the opening of the game and those 2 castles. Even just one more would have really helped. But the third thing, some of the platforming's so unbelievably fucky. I jumped on a mountain somewhere where it didn't expect me, and then it faded to black and acted like I was dead. There were just a number of moments like that where it's like, okay, I threw my hook shot out, it connected, and now it just disconnected for no reason. Okay. Like my grapple hook. I had so many moments like this. There's a mission where it's like, okay, this guy's locked up in his house. You need to find a way in. I'm like, well, those rocks behind his house are super obviously high enough for me to jump onto the roof. Apparently, this man lubes up every rock behind his house every day. Because if you try to jump on those, you just slide off to the point of, there are certain points you can jump in this game where you just won't land. You'll just keep sliding around because it doesn't want you to stand on things.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't put any of the grip-looking stuff on that side of the mountain, so I can,
I mean, you could jump on it, but then at a certain point, the rocks just become slippery.
Right.
They're flat rocks. You don't need, it's not a sheer rock cliff. It's just a pile of rocks. But that was not the correct solution. I was supposed to find the cliff at the front of it and then jump from there. But it was very frustrating because it's like, if every rock in this game was just normally traversable instead of random rocks being lubed up, that would be incredible. If I didn't have random moments of the game disconnecting my hook shot, that would be great. If I didn't have moments like that one with the mountain where just, you weren't supposed to stand here. We're pretty sure if you're standing here, you died, so fade to black.
Yeah, that's one of those things I always have to think about Breath of the Wild and how kind of amazing that game is in that regard.
Yes, and that's definitely the benchmark for this sort of thing. I feel like that's the bar, right? Like, you should try to be as fun as that.
The thing is, nothing else has risen to that yet.
Yes.
Which stinks.
Yes. Maybe Horizon Forbidden West.
Yeah, I didn't encounter too many, the platforming broke for me. There was a part where I was trying to collect those banners because you can select to track them through the wind. And one of them is in one of the little estate buildings that you do in Act 3.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, this is really easy. I just have to jump down. This won't even do fall damage. Wouldn't let me. I spent 45 minutes going around this area trying to find a way to get in. Impossible. Because it was Lady Masiko's final mission. And they're like, no, you can't go inside that large area until you unlock it with her.
See, I don't know if that's why it did this thing to me, where one time I tried to drop down to an area. It was such a small drop. It was unbelievably small. It was literally from a tiny rock that's slightly up off the ground to the floor, the earth. I would say if you were to estimate the height, maybe 14 feet at absolute most. Right as I jumped over whatever it was, it would fade to black immediately. It did not want me to jump in there.
Same thing.
Okay.
It would fade out, and sometimes it'd go, just be like, yeah, you died. And I'm like, no, I didn't. No, I didn't. This is just like when I posted a clip of me rock climbing with my horse, and then I did a sick jump. It lands and goes, ow, launches me, and I start screaming, ah, for 4 seconds. Land on the ground in walking position, start walking, the game's fading out.
Yep.
Which I'm like, this is hilarious, because that also broke it. and threw me in a completely different spot on the map because they're like, I don't know where to put you.
Yeah, no, I had that moment a couple times where it's just like, dude, where did you
Why were
even
you
come
dipshit?
from? Where are you? What?
I like when I jumped on a couple boxes and Jin couldn't find the ground, so he floated there and then eventually faded to black.
Yeah, I had moments like that too.
I liked Dan riding that horse. That he posted a clip of.
To be fair, I wasn't pushing any direction in that clip. I was just mashing both analog sticks, which made it do that. And I was like, this is the funniest shit in the world. What were you going to say, Bob?
Did anyone else swim out to sea? Like, do much of the swimming around the island?
No,
No, we're not you.
I didn't try that at all.
The closest thing I did to that is, you know how sometimes there's a giant alcove and like you can see the opposite end of the peninsula or the opposite end of the coast, but there's a huge body of water in between.
Yeah.
Closest thing I got to that was swimming through that, and I was anxious at any point in time I would drown randomly.
Bob, how many times did you look for seams?
This isn't looking for seams. This is I like going out to sea in these open world games.
And seeing what they do to you.
Yeah.
So what happened?
One of my favorite things in Grand Theft Auto 3, one of the reasons I was a huge fan of that back in the day is you got the plane in that game, but the plane didn't have wings. It was the dodo. So it didn't fly well. And it was super hard to fly.
Mm-hmm.
But you could see this mysterious thing that looked like an extra city that off in the distance. The game would unload if you went there, like if you got it even close, but you can glitch in there, and it's apparently it's a scene from the very beginning of the game that's not used anywhere else. It's where there's a cut scene. There's no hit detection or anything, but you can fly out there if you're good enough. If you skim around the places where the game will just kick you out. And that was one of my favorite parts of that game.
Bob has been doing this his whole life, is what he said.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, I technically swam out to sea somewhat to get some of those banners, because some of them, they put them almost out of the map.
Yes, they do. I found a few of those where it's just like they're on islands and stuff. But yeah, I like swimming between the different islands.
Not a big deal. You can specifically search through them through the guiding wind. So I just hit that. And I'm like, oh,
right.
Oh.
Yeah, there's some cool stuff out there, and I was really impressed with the way that swimming over waves feels. It gave me a sense of swimming over a wave. Like,
that might be one of the most immersive things in the entire game, is that feeling of what I'm actually fighting this water.
I did notice it did that really well. I want to say, based on memory, even better than The Last of Us 2. Like, it felt a lot more like the buoyancy and everything else is accounted for.
it is weird. It probably does feel better than that. It doesn't look as good because The Last of Us 2, when you're doing that swimming segment, is insane.
Yeah, they're just pissing money on the screen. What was it? Someone was estimating that game might have spent $200 million on its budget. And I was like, yeah, you can see it.
Yeah.
It's all over the screen. This obviously did not. Like, it's an expensive game, but it's not The Last of Us Part 2.
It still looks gorgeous when it's like, here's all the flowing grass.
Yeah, no, the foliage system in this is hilariously, like, and I really mean it is laughably, intensely amazing to be the hallmark of this generation's, like, how you can make terrain look. And then while I'm playing through this, the Halo Infinite trailer comes out.
Oh, no, stop it. No.
And it's just like,
Stop.
it's like, this is fucked, man. I can't.
I'm going to squirt you with the water bottle.
Well, see, here's the thing. I could deal with it if people admitted, like, oh, yeah, no, that terrain just doesn't look very great. Instead, you know, while his video was helpful, I think it's a little ludicrous to say that the problem with that game was lighting exclusively. Because Tsushima's lighting is good. It's decent. It's not, you know, ray tracing or some shit. But the terrain and everything looks amazing. It looks so good, you guys, that when you talk to an NPC, the game goes, oh, this isn't going to look good if we show their face. Show the wide shot. And the wide shot looks great, so it works.
Right?
Yeah, I had no problem with this not being as graphically advanced as The Last of Us 2 because it had, you know, more than 2 biomes.
Could you imagine someone out there who's like, oh, this isn't as good as that because it doesn't look as expensive? It's like, no game looks as expensive as The Last of Us 2.
Right. There's just so much here, too. It's just like...
Oh yeah,
Like,
there's tons of biomes here. I really like it.
I turned on the wind of find clothing or whatever that one is, the vanity one, to clean up some stuff yesterday. And I was like, after completing everything else in the game, getting the platinum, I was still finding new areas, and it was like, I've not seen these rice fields before. This looks immaculate.
Yeah, those rice fields are really cool. I saw you going through that area yesterday, and you were talking about, I've never seen this area before. I was like, yeah, I went there. It was really interesting because, like, you think an event would have occurred here because the terrain is very designed. Because it's specifically the rice field with multiple elevations, like 4 or 5 different elevations to the rice field itself. It's really cool.
It's been sticking with me that there's been multiple people talking about this game pre-release going, in Assassin's Creed, they're always focused on making the worlds a lot bigger and just adding more landmass. And Ghost of Tsushima is like, we're trying to make a big open world where everything's different all the time. Doesn't feel like they're copy pasting their entire open world.
Yeah, I don't feel like the open world at large feels that way, but I do feel like the Mongol camps do.
Yeah, the Mongol camps feel like they're the same couple tents, which I get.
Which
like it makes sense, but
it makes sense.
Not.
But as a gameplay thing, when you do 30 of them, it doesn't feel great.
The Mongols very organized.
It was much cooler when they were just Mongols have taken over this town.
Yes.
Like, those were definitely better.
That helps immensely. But yeah, no, the terrain is beautifully diverse.
And something about the way they did sound design and everything for Thunderstorms, like, every time that, like, thunder in the background would start ramping up, I'd kind of, like, my heart would start racing, like, this is really good. Just, it gave me a sensation I did not expect.
It gave you that money back feeling?
Yes.
That's really important. Visually, all the different types of weather and like fog and stuff, just I've never played a game so visually diverse before, where it's just every couple of minutes it looks like I'm playing a completely different game. Like when the fog hits with like the light, so it's just a yellow mist when you're just a silhouette.
Yeah, and then sometimes you turn the camera wrong when it's morning or evening and you go blind.
Yes.
Welcome to HDR, baby!
Or you hit the pause button and go blind.
So Mr. Feel has joined us recently in the OLED club. Mr. Feel, would you believe that the number one reason you want a QLED is so that it's brighter? This is how intense it is. My brother owned a QLED before he owned an OLED. He has a rather large living room. He's doing pretty well. Everyone sat way the fuck away from the TV, but we're playing Resident Evil 7, and the flashlight hits a wall right in front of the character, and we're all like, ow! It's the worst. But yeah,
get that QLED.
I need the pain.
How am I going to be scared if my eyes don't hurt? But yeah, no, I also had that problem. That's why I had to adjust the brightness. Because OLEDs can only put out so much brightness, so if you raise the brightness in game, it technically lowers the brightest point. That's the meta game I'm playing with HDR games nowadays. Admittedly, this is the only one that I felt has punished me since Resident Evil 7. Hopefully we go back to that on an OLED and it's not as painful to look at.
Right.
Q.
I look like Piccolo taking the beam for Gohan.
Oh no!
But yeah, no. This game does have absolutely beautiful terrains. As I said a moment ago, I haven't played Horizon enough, and I haven't played Spider-Man at all. It is my understanding, though, that Spider-Man does load in bespoke levels in its open world, right? Like you start a mission, then you go indoors, and then there's a bank heist or whatever.
Yeah, it does that pretty frequently.
And then it has like that E3 demo where there's like an entirely designed construction site with multiple like floors and stuff that you're going through.
Yeah, I feel like if we just had more interesting Mongol camps in this, like more structured moments in those, more bespoke levels and things like that, this would be like an absolutely amazing game. I
was thinking about asking you, like, what would you prefer? No level design like there is now, or if the levels were just as confusing as The Last of Us Part 2's levels were sometimes?
Can you imagine? Jin's
Where
just
Jin just
stuck in an
can't
alleyway.
Yes.
Jin, find the dumpster.
Jin, you need to put the dumpster uphill. You're gonna race it to the door.
When the game turns into a LucasArts adventure game.
God, could you
Yes.
imagine someone makes a fan hack to patch Jin Sakai into The Last of Us? It would be so hilarious just watching his facial expression be blank as he does that shit.
You walk up behind Ellie, terrorize.
Oh no!
Your uncle comes in, it's like, I think I found the Mongols. We gotta go do it.
Then you're like, Lord Shimura, come on, man.
We're not going to go kill the entire Mongolian Empire here, Grandpa.
It's okay. So on that horse ride with Shimura, as he's like, you help that person who's like, oh, I'm going to visit the ghost. His armies are going to attack the Mongols where they live. And then Jin's I have no idea what he's talking about. And he's like, you taught people to disobey their elders. Why are they going to listen to you? My first thought was because I'm not a cuck like you.
Right. My honor.
Yeah, that's the thing. Multiple times he's like, we can't have the people be afraid of us. Major plot point in the second act. All these people are afraid of you because you killed their leaders for rebelling.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
Yep. Yarikawa.
Yeah, there is an entire arc there of just Shimura is not great.
Yep.
Yarikawa was probably dealt with in the worst way possible.
It's fucking fantastic that Jin the whole time is like, look, we understand you fucking hate us, but we need to all rally together to defend this island. And then Shimura's like, ew, peasants. Like he has that tone so often.
He makes Lady Masako and who's Murder Grandpa?
Ishikawa.
Ishikawa.
He makes them seem level-headed sometimes, which isn't good.
Your murder grandparents.
That's what they are.
It's great because in my brain, you know how you have titles like senior and junior. I shortened murder to M lowercase r grandpa. Just that's his name, Murder Grandpa.
See, in my head, he's just Rick from Rick and Morty almost.
No, absolutely. I kept making that fucking joke. I was like, oh, that bitch, she set my house on fire. I'll fucking show her, Jin. Son of a bitch. I can't believe she did it.
You see,
women,
they were
Jin.
kind of doing the same. They're kind of doing the same thing with him that they were doing for Lady Masako, but not making it completely insane. Where I'm like, all right, calm down a little bit, dude.
Yeah, I feel like we need to rank psychopaths.
He still has psychotic breaks.
Yes. But I didn't have to beat the shit out of him to get him to chill out for a minute.
Only because
True.
he doesn't carry a sword. Because there's all these parts where it's like, he's like, this happened, this fucking bitch, and Jin's like, I don't know, that doesn't really seem like what's happening based on what we're seeing right here. And he grabs Jin's collars, shut the fuck up.
Yeah, no, it's really good. It has a weirdly red-pilled Days Gone vibe to it that I really appreciate. There's something absolutely ludicrous about him just being like, oh, that's when she fucked me, Jin. She fucked me so bad. I hate this bitch. And then Jin's like, sounds like you fucked her. And he's like, what? I would never. How dare you? You betrayed me for a woman.
I love there are multiple times where Jin basically goes, I can see why Tomoe fucked off.
Yep.
I just everything he says in subtitles just say next to it you can smell the alcohol on his breath.
There's something really good though about his arc at the very end being him being like, I spent all my time training with a bow, and now I have no family, and I'm bitter and alone, and the only woman who was ever close to me fucking just sailed off the island.
And she abandoned his bow techniques too, so he's not even carrying that on.
L.
That was pretty good.
Which, on one hand, I was like, that doesn't actually make sense. You could get raided on the way. If you have your bow and arrow, you could help. It seems insane.
It's her honor because she she did so many bad things with it, she's not allowed to practice anymore. Does anybody else think that Sucker Punch has really confused ideas about what gray morality is?
I don't know. These people made Infamous, which had that morality system. I assume they know everything about every type.
Because there's like 24 times in this game across all the content where you're like, you did something horrible. Character then monologues about their tragic past that made them do it, but it never comes off like you're supposed to think they're a mealy-mouthed worm. It always comes off like you're supposed to seriously consider it, like that's just what they think gray morality is, like the ending of Masako's storyline.
I mean, maybe they just watched a lot of anime.
Here's my thoughts on it. Every time Gene reacts to these moments, he sounds like me stuck at a customer service counter dealing with a customer who's just complaining about how bad their day is.
I started losing it at the end of the Masako storyline, where it's like, you've been a psychotic person killing everyone really fast. The ending part's like, no, I'm good.
Yeah, no part in this entire game makes it more obvious there was like a choice system than the end of every single one of those side stories.
I don't know. I think it's really obvious when a lot of times it'll hitch where there would have been the choice.
What's really funny? There was at least 2 different times where hilariously we cut the camera, the tone changes completely.
I literally had it like drop frames.
Can you imagine a glitch where the other version appears?
I mean, dude, there was the whole thing. It felt like, what Bob's talking about with the morality thing. That's how me telling the guy who's like, I practice writing haiku with your uncle. And then I go, my uncle's dead. And he's like, oh, that's sad. And then his tone changes completely in a single line. And it's like, wow, that was fucking pumping the brakes.
Okay. The weird thing is, I'm pretty sure, because he said that to me too. And I let him live. So I'm pretty sure it's just they intended you to do that at the very beginning. So they just do not take when you do it into account with that.
No, my character literally said, my uncle's dead.
Like, so did mine. He literally said that, and I let him live. I'm saying they assumed you would do that at the very start of the game when they think he's dead.
You're telling me your Jin Sakai said to that guy, Lord Shimura has passed?
Yes.
What?
Because I did it at the I did that first thing at the very end. It was the last one I did after I beat the game.
I figured it made sense for me because I killed him, but holy shit.
I let him live. I'm pretty sure they just intended you to do that at the very beginning when Jin is assuming he died on the beach like everybody else.
But even at the beginning, he doesn't assume that he's dead. Like, Yuna tells him right away
because
that
he runs onto the bridge where Kodokan is.
Then it's just an oversight. They just didn't record 2 lines.
Oof. I'm sure
I do appreciate that they actually change where your house is after you beat the game, depending on what you do.
Oh, do they?
That is. Oh, yeah.
Oh, they do?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, if you kill, you're like in this secluded forest, and you're more out in the open if you spare. Also, you have a different dye on your clothes. Like, you're white if you kill and red if you spare.
Huh.
Yeah.
So your little weird house is in a different place. That's neat.
Yeah. You don't have an estate like you did before. You have literally a shanty shack up on a mountain in the forested area, and you get to look at all the things you collected across the game. And
you have that if you spare them too.
And then
it's the exact same building, Dan, but they just move it to a different spot on the map.
Oh, that's fucking insane.
Mine's in Omi, like right next to his old house, next to the giant Buddha statue. But
it's just out in the boons.
Yeah, and then they just give your outfit a different dye, so it's like white if you went.
I want a white version of the ghost outfit. That's
it is pretty cool.
Maybe you can still get it in the post game from the white dye vendor.
The funny thing is, you leave that house, and then Yuna goes, "I like your new house. It suits you." And he goes, "Thanks." And then she's like, "I'm leaving forever. Bye."
The weirdest thing about that ending,
split up to face the Mongols. Go ahead.
She says something like, "Yeah, we need to go finish off the Mongols." So I thought there'd be another cutscene after I cleared out the whole map.
Yeah, that would have been nice.
But there's nothing.
Nope.
It makes me wonder if there's going to be DLC. Like, maybe there's something last thing.
They do like the fucking Horizon DLC. There's another snow-capped mountain.
All I can think of is there's still boats out in the harbor. I don't know enough about boats at the time period to know if those are Japanese or Mongolian boats.
We did board a lot of Mongolian boats.
Right.
Yeah.
So, boat DLC would be fucking incredible. I'd buy it day one.
I loved that mission, speaking of the boats, where you have to get the dude free. Like he's like, I need to sail out, but we're blockaded by them. So you end up just going into turret mode and ruining so many ships.
Yeah, and then Shimura's like, you intend to use the enemy's weapon? Oh, no. No honor.
Yeah.
And then he's like, okay, whatever.
Grandpa,
I guess keep going.
Take a Werther's original and go to sleep, Grandpa. Let me take care of this.
Okay.
So, this isn't like a complaint, but I do think, I wish that they had included what actually ended the first Mongol invasion, which is just, they just got owned by the wind. It killed 20,000 of them.
Oh my god, is that...
Oh, like the real life way the Mongols went out?
Yeah, it was called the Divine Wind, and it was just a storm that sank their entire
Oh my
fucking
god, that's
fleet.
going to be a DLC.
That's the entire...
You're going to be the Divine Wind.
That's the entire point of this thing, where listening to Nate Fox talk about it, they went very intentionally with history, basically saying, Jin is the storm. Your original sword is named after the storm. It has a description about it. A storm happens during the climax, and that's the whole, like, the storm's going to keep them in the bay. So they're like, this is our version of the history where, the storm did kill them. And it's like, oh, people wanted to hide the fact that the ghost did it.
They should do a DLC about 7 years later. Here's your history lesson. After the first invasion, the Japanese just built 10-foot high walls on every single beach around the whole island.
Oh.
So the Mongols came back, couldn't find anywhere to land, hovered around for a few months, starving, then another storm killed all of them.
Me trying to get into the Taco Bell, but it's closed.
It then said the Mongols never attacked Japan again. They lost 70,000 men and 70,000 more were captured. It is considered the most disastrous attempt at a naval invasion in history.
That makes sense.
So I had a really funny glitch. I'm going to move away from laughing at them drowning. So
why it's so much fun.
The bamboo what's it called? The bamboo strikes are very cool. I like them a lot. It's just a little fighting game combo mini game.
Yeah, no, that's
one
fun.
time I was doing one and my horse decided it was real interesting and shoved his face through them and was just standing there clipping through them.
Yeah, no, I did the horse did something similar to me. It pushed me far away from the bamboo thing and stood where I needed to slice. So I kept slicing through my horse.
Yeah.
Foreshadowing.
Like, well, he doesn't seem to mind. I guess it's okay.
So did KZ, I assume you named your first horse Sora.
Yeah, which kind of made sense once you go through that one, and then I named the next one Wind.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, yeah, well, that ends up working out.
What'd you name your first horse, Feel?
Nobu.
I miss Nobu. Tosh and I are very sad. She yelled. She yelled that I should dock the score based on Nobu dying.
Honestly, let's not talk about it. It got me bad.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what none of us seem to feel bad about?
Music.
You know what none of us seem to feel bad about? Yasu's brother dying.
No, I miss
I felt
Taka.
bad.
Yeah,
for
Taco
that.
was good.
What was it? There was when I was like getting the trophy for playing the Song of Storms or whatever it's called.
At his grave. That's cool.
At your friend's grave is the way the trophy describes it. Bob goes, "Did you play it to the horse?"
I went to the horse first.
You did I.
too? Oh my god! As soon as I looked up that there was a trophy for that, I'm like, Sora's getting it first.
I was like, there's no way they gave that trophy to the horse and not Taka. That's impossible.
So I now have to say this because it's been in my mind ever since that scene. the scene where Taka takes the swing at Koten Khan and gets owned super fucking hard
Yeah.
just made me think of the Dungeons and Dragons movie.
I hate you.
It's terrible.
It's almost the exact same.
It had that
The
energy.
cinematic parallel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I felt bad for him because he was he's a perfectly nice dude. He's like, he doesn't want to be a part of any of this stuff. The fact that he actually went for it, I'm like, this is stupid, but you do your shit. You go for it, kid.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the Taka stuff could have been pulled off in a much worse way. Like, I thought they would do a thing where it's like, oh, then this happens and Yuna turns on you because you influenced Taka and all this other
I'm
stuff.
really
It's like,
glad that didn't happen.
That would have been an infamous game. Yeah.
Yes. I was thinking with my infamous brain, like, oh, this is going to be the worst. And it wasn't.
That's fair. I feel
I
like that's,
also thought that was where it was gonna go.
that's almost literally the relationship you have with your girlfriend in the first one.
Yeah.
Because your girlfriend's like, okay, I saved you from dying to radioactive waste once, but don't do it again because I'm never going to save you again. And I'm just like, what the fuck did I do to you?
There's no characters that are like weirdly hostile to Jin.
No, they're just revengeful, crazy people, which at least makes sense. And Jin seems to be aware that they are. That's important. It's important to have one character go, listen here, crazy bitch. You need to pump your brakes.
You also have dipshits in the form of Kenji, who has 3 missions.
Uh-huh.
I wish he had more, honestly. I like Kenji's missions.
Yeah, I really liked it.
I would like having more with him and less with the psychos.
The one where he's like, all right, I'll give you a signal, where it's like, it's great to see you, or whatever the quote is that is the signal for you to come and help me when I meet with these Mongols. And then he just starts screaming it over and over.
Yes.
Again, shitting his pants.
It's so nice meeting you. It's so nice meeting you.
So fucking nice.
He's a dipshit, but I feel like him getting you out of jail at the start of the 3rd act was a lot more than other characters did.
I just like the conclusion of all of this of like, Jin going, why don't you just go straight? Oh, okay. I'm like, all right.
Fair enough, game. I guess he just literally didn't think about it.
I guess he'll stop robbing Mongols.
But yeah,
saying I sent you food, instead throws them bones in a bag.
It was wood chips too.
I liked a lot of the Kenji stuff. I feel like if they did more than 3 missions, they might have to develop his character.
Yeah, you don't want that.
6 missions later, he's still doing the same thing over and over again.
Yeah,
Gene Sakai,
I want it to be 9.
I accidentally sold them a dead horse.
Okay, Kenji, I'm impressed, but why?
How did you even trick them? Oh, I stuffed the horse. That sounds expensive, Kenji. You probably lost money on this one.
Just, oh my god, I wish it was like 9 missions of just that. How did people find the she only got 2 missions, but Yuriko, which was the person
old
the
lady
person
hot?
who likes
Old lady hot for you? Yes.
old lady who was suffering from dementia and
might have been fucking your dad.
Might have not been.
That was very clear.
At least she seemingly waited her turn.
Yes.
So that's anything.
I did feel kind of bad that just her second mission is find grandma. Oh, grandma died.
It was really just like, oh god, they're doing. Wait, he's already buried her? Good lord.
Yeah.
Well, she literally died.
Just us sitting there, and it's that part of, please, I just need to pay respect to my mother. Just let me do this. I'm like, come on, you're supposed to just build me poisons.
I actually really thought her story missions were well done.
They were. I liked them.
I think they tonally delivered on a lot of the bitter sadness.
They made me feel really uncomfortable, which means they did their job.
Yeah.
I'm just like, oh yeah, this is reality for a lot of people.
Yeah, the part where Jean just looks out on the horizon and it's burning and it's destroyed, and he's telling her about what he sees, and he's just avoiding telling her about the devastation. Yeah,
she's talking to, his dad, not him.
Was it Hasumasa? Hasumasa?
Yeah.
Kazumasa? Kazumasa.
Kazumasa, yeah.
Yeah. Where I just halfway through the ride, like at the beginning of the second mission, I'm like, she's just convinced I'm my dad. Oh no. Please don't try to bone me by the end of this, because my brain too is in how could this go absolute infamous too terrible.
Yes. Yeah, that was a fear. It was like, okay.
I was scared.
Sucker Punch has had some good character development, I guess.
What was it?
Only because they ripped out the bad part of this game.
I was talking to Bob a lot about how much I liked Second Son. I know a lot of people panned it, but I thought Second Son was really good. And then we started talking about mission structure in this versus mission structure in that. And then I go, hey, at least nothing in this is as bad as the origami quests from Infamous Second Son, where it's just Cole's friend shows up and he's like, yeah, Cole, if Cole was here, he would be doing something like you're doing something. Yep.
What were the origami quests?
So there were paper cranes left around, and you needed to chase them, and then you would do a battle, and then Cole's friend would come up. It was like meeting the friend of a celebrity, and that literally is the tone in the game, because Delson never knew Cole. So as Delson's trying to do something about the DUP, Cole's friend, who I can never remember the name of for the life of me for some reason, just keeps sitting there. He's like, yeah, Cole was pretty cool. He solved problems just like you're doing. Okay, I gotta go. Like that was the build up. That was the final bit you get after doing 5 or 6 of those or something. Which just like, man, I put way too much time into this mission line just to get that.
Feels good. A lot of drones.
Yes. Once again, if they put some haiku spots on drones. I guess we have to end the spoiler cast at some point. If you've got bullets, fire them.
Okay. How do people feel about Ryuza?
I thought he was. I think he's probably the character I think is the most well executed, because he starts out as sympathetic. He just wants to feed his guys. Then in the end, he's like, "Come on, man, tell him I was your spy. We can work this out. Come on, buddy, we're friends, right?"
Not only that, but the scene where Koden Khan gets him to light people on fire.
That might be one of the best scenes in the whole game. Just him screaming, "Just open the gate!"
Yeah, no, that performance was incredible.
Koten Khan's performance is also great, because he doesn't say it firmly. Because when he's like, give my guys food, he doesn't say it firmly or angry or anything. He just says, "Earn it," and then walks off.
Yeah. Yeah, no, most of those guys are really well done.
Yeah, Koden's really, really well executed in this. I think his performance is spot on the entire way through. It's really funny just watching him be like, you know your nephew's becoming a piece of shit, right? He's out there right now being a bastard. I bet you're real embarrassed. Maybe you should surrender.
God, he rules.
All the Ryuzo stuff, just you can see clearly the infamous options.
God damn it!
Like every time.
I thought about the morality system maybe once, and it was in a conversation with you. It never occurred to me for the entire run.
See, Bob, I went through the Ryuzo things, and I'm like, I like the way this is going, and I appreciate it not going 2 bad directions at once.
Yeah. Yeah, no, the Ryuza stuff is all well done, and then I just think about, oh god, you could have done that, and then you could have walked outside and then turned in Yuna and been like, yeah, I'm an honorable samurai. It was Yuna's idea. Kill her.
Oh god, they could. Yeah, you could.
I don't think they would have done that. Let you do that.
Yes, that was the game even hitched during that part. They would have let you do that. They would have let you be the biggest piece of trash in the game.
Feel that's what would have happened. You turn her in, and then you get an Act 3 where it's like you work directly with your uncle for the rest of the game.
Yes,
and that's the samurai route.
I feel like did the Infamous games have changes that big?
It changed the relationship between characters some of the time, a lot of the time, but it never completely changed content. So
Yeah,
presumably,
sometimes you just want to destroy Native American building.
presumably what would have happened if they went that route, which thank God they didn't. The third act would have opened up with you getting a cutscene with your uncle, and then you being like, "I'm going to travel north," and then he's like, "You are honorable, nephew," and then he pats you on the head, and then you do the north. Conversely, what the game actually has is drastically better.
Yes.
Some dude comes up and says, "You've done so much good work here, Jin. Here's a new saddle for your horse."
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that would have been the way to save Nobu.
Oh,
Yeah.
that makes me want to scream.
Why us just theory crafting a bad version of this game?
Just the notion of, we have you do the correct thing, your horse dies. You do the bad thing and your horse lives. And I'm like, no, that's too real. Stop. Come on.
I feel like basically every side story, the end would have had a choice, and it just always defaulted to like the honorable one. What the fuck would Nanjo's have been? Because his already's in super dark.
You mean Norio?
Yeah, Norio, not Nanjo. Norio,
Oh, okay,
the, monk.
yeah, the monk. That kind of blew my ass out of like, oh, he's gone. It's done.
I really appreciated what they did with that mission. The fact that you weren't.
You do nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and that's important.
And when it ended, I went, this rules.
Yeah.
You just had to witness the damage that they did to his mind.
I love the people being like, he fucking snapped, dude.
I wish some of the tales weren't like the tales that aren't directly related to these characters. I feel like those are a grade above the others, and most of the others are go kill these bandits.
Yeah.
And then find out that someone's dead. I feel like
it would so many every single time.
Yeah, like if the guys were like, if one of those didn't end in sadness, it would have made the others more impactful.
Yes.
Because it was just like, okay, they're going to be dead when I get there every time.
I feel like the two that were the most ludicrous were the last two most people would do in the game, which is the missions you find, the tales that you find randomly out in the wild. Oh, so God, the bandit who betrayed the other bandits
and then dies for no reason.
And then the game, it's the roughest shit in the world. You go investigate inside of a house. Then your character has sleep paralysis as he runs outside and gets owned. Like, and then you join him in the battle. Like, it's the weirdest fucking thing because you're investigating like, oh, where is this guy? So you have to go indoors. And then it's only once you're indoors that it'll have him run through the building, exit another side, and now you're not even walk and talk anymore. You're just stand and wait. And then he says his voice lines, and the enemy bandit says his voice lines, and then you can walk outside, and then there's an encounter. You do the encounter, and then the guy's just like, I'm gonna die now. Don't bury me with these fucking subhuman pieces of trash. And you're like, okay. And then the other one, for people who don't know, is the one where it's like, you poisoned us, go away. And you're like, I need to bring you food and medicine. I fast travel up the mountain. I drop back down the mountain, Mongols. It's just...
Yeah, that one, I was like, oh, damn it. It was one of the last ones I also did, where it's just like, we don't trust you because you poisoned a bunch of people. You're crazy. And then you come back, and it's like, we should have listened to you. They pulled us out of this house and killed all of us.
Yeah. There's a couple like that, like it's at the start of Norio's storyline where I'm like, why fucking even have this character? The pacifist who bitches at you then dies proving you were right.
No, it's cool. He didn't take a life. He saved a life, so he's better than Gene.
Got him.
Yeah. Yeah, that guy really owned you.
Shout out to that small tale where it's like, they stole my food. You go up to them and kill them. Here's the food. Oh, they didn't do that. I was lying to you. And then it just ends.
Yeah, it was weird. I was like...
that is definitely the infamous cutting out of potential.
Yeah, I'm like, I probably would have punished them if they weren't female. I felt like there was... When it was just like... She almost should have done the anime thing of like, hee hee, just kidding. like had just gone absolute seizure tier with that ending to that mission because it's just like, how the fuck can you do this? People are dead. She's like, whatever, they're bandits.
I told you not to kill him, but whatever.
Instead of the kanji, it just pops up L.
What was the Kappa mission was upsetting to me because it's like, okay, there's all this stuff like somebody broke in and ravenously ate these fish and left them just bones on the ground.
And then dragged off her father.
Yeah, dragged off her
father,
dad.
who looks exactly as old as her.
Oh, that's a lot in this game.
That is a lot in this game.
I love the mission where you save the mother and daughter and it's like, are you the same model?
Stop.
They were just barely not the same model, but they looked roughly the same age. It was like, did you have her when you were 10?
It'd be like that sometimes.
Yeah, we could probably use some more NPC models, maybe more than one voice actor for all Mongolians.
Maybe just have a couple age groups even. Just, distinct age groups like grandpa. Yeah, just use the grandpa model for her dad.
Yes.
She's
Just
clearly...
use Ishikawa.
Yeah, there you go. Ishikawa's everyone's grandpa.
But yeah, there's just
I'll shoot you.
then getting to the camp is just like they're just bandits. Why did they ravenously eat these? What did they do to their feet to make them have weird footprints?
Yeah, because their
I want to at least have Scooby Doo
that
villains.
their footprints had like nail weirdness, like claws, and it's just like, no, they're just bandits.
Okay, give me more.
They had
please.
they had the superpower to make the game hard lock.
Yes, they had that.
I was so worried about that one that I made saves, but it never did it for me.
Yeah,
like the River Children did not at all mess up for me.
I was like, oh no, this is the Kappa mission, Bob. How do I know when it's broken? And I immediately examine this, and he's like, it's not. And I'm like, oh, that's insane.
Yeah, because if it is broken for you, you examine it and it's just Jin stares. He just crouches down by the dead fish and just doesn't do anything.
He just does the face I keep screen capping from the trailer.
Yes.
Stop screen capping.
No, it's really good. It's such a good expression. Oh man. Also on the highly related note, I too appreciate, like the producer of Yakuza said, that the main character of this isn't made attractively in the least. Like, I like that he looks rough and not exceptionally attractive. I always appreciate shit doing that because for those who didn't go through it, Infamous 1 Cole wasn't cool enough.
God.
So
I remember the design.
They completely redesigned him for 2, and it was the most off-putting shit in the world. I'm like, guys, I like Cole because he's not overly likable. Like, I like Cole is just some postal worker in New York, and he doesn't have like a charismatic personality. He's just a relatable person, and he's just trying to deal with this. Like, Gene has a similar energy.
Yeah, I don't think anyone in this looks overly pretty.
Yeah, nobody does.
Kodan Khan's beautiful, no matter what they say.
You know what? Yes, he is the most beautiful of them all.
I feel like Shimura is like the most, this looks like the idealized version of a person one.
Yes. Yeah, I agree with that. For anyone who wasn't overly familiar with the Cole redesign, what they ultimately settled on was just taking the old Cole head, basically, and pasting it on the new body that doesn't match at all.
The new design was hilarious. I saw it in like a Game Informer magazine at the time because they were talking about the backlash of it. Because I'm like, oh, he looks really quippy.
Here we go. Here's
I never saw it.
Okay, so I'm gonna post after they put the new head on him. Okay. Here's the new head, Cole. Where, that's Cole. Okay,
Has the
that's
high
Cole.
collar to hide the seams where they just pasted the new head on.
This is how he looked in the first trailer for Infamous 2.
That's not the same character. Fuck you.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah, it was really strange.
That's Nathan Drakeman.
It's like they crossed Nathan Drake with, I think it was Tommy's actor from Power Rangers.
He looks like fucking Dane Cook.
Yeah, that's it.
now hold on. I found the art.
Wait, was this like when Dane Cook was really popular?
Probably. Yeah, the art makes it even worse.
Yeah, because he has the tear.
Yeah, I was specifically trying to find the art, which was this.
Yep. He's like he's like the least Cole McGrath looking motherfucker ever, and it's like, guys, if you wanted a new hero, make a new hero.
Didn't they do this to the asshole from Assassin's Creed also? Except there they didn't go back on it, so he just looks wildly different between games.
That's funny as hell.
I like how grounded this game is.
Yes.
I didn't really expect it because we've had a lot of fantastical ones, like you've had Sekiro and Nioh, where they're focused more on like fantastical elements. And this one has one fantastical element, which is, I don't know, you got drugged by a sword and now you're fighting a demon.
I don't know. Those foxes are really nice. Unrealistic foxes.
I did like that you went to one of those.
When does the demon fight happen?
It was for the longbow, I think.
In like the first area.
Yeah, you get drugged.
Oh yeah.
Where they're like,
it's the dude in the Tengu
thousands
mask.
of crows spin around you while you duel a Tengu.
Yeah, that shit was really cool.
Now I'm remembering the battle for getting the Wrath of God triple hit thing, and how it was just like it was so bad.
The one that's like, it's like now they're hunting you. You got to read this note.
Yeah, no,
like, you will now be judged.
Everything that led up to was fine, but then when he's just like, "Oh, I'll just kill you," there's no redeeming this. Just murder you, even though it seemed like they were just misguided a little bit, like less so than a lot of the characters that don't get killed, like say Rice Woman.
Yeah,
I liked the I liked the Heavenly Strike one a lot, where it's like, you defeated them, now this lightning is gonna set them on fire.
Oh, that was the coolest shit.
Yes.
I like how Jin's a Giga Chad both times and is like, oh, I just watched you and stole that shit.
Oh man, I owned that motherfucker so hard in one of those fights. I believe it was the Spirit of the Forest, where the fight was not even 7 seconds long. So imagine the voice lines flying in. I just Ghost Stance fucking wreck them, triple slice wreck them. And then she's like, what are you doing? And he's like, I'm watching your movements. And then I do it one more time and he goes, I know your technique. She hasn't pulled it off once.
Oh my god.
It was insane. And then she's dead and I'm just like, good. Like, what the fuck happened here? Are you Siler? Did you tear open her brain and steal it?
I'm a big fan of me being not very good and you being really great at games, where it's just you discuss these situations and I'm like, I died like twice.
Like in her fight, it was the most ridiculous it had ever been, because she goes to hit me. I perfect parry at first, slash her the fuck up, do 2 of the triples, and she's dead. And I'm like, this is insane. There was so much buildup. There's a crowd watching. They're like, oh, the ghost is going to fight the spirit of the woods. This is going to be, and it's over in 7 seconds. I'm pretty sure I saved a video of that. I need to post that. But yeah, no, I really like stuff like that. Like all of the mythic tales that get you abilities were really cool.
Yeah, I like the one that got you that armor, where you go fight all the duels. It's just like, this guy's killed 100 guys. He's some sort of manslayer.
He's immortal.
Yeah, they just
kind of Suicide Squad.
Stops just short of calling him the Batosai. Just slightly short.
And then I got the armor, and I'm like, oh, this isn't very good.
Yeah.
See, it was funny because like for 3 of those dudes, you have to go duel. It's like, oh man, this is fucked up. The way they talk, the tone they have, I really like their performances. The other 2 or 3 just feel like I'm one of them too. It's so weird because one of them is just like, yeah. I think it's the Manslayer one you were talking about, where it just had this tone of, yeah, I just kill people because I'm bored. Thank God you're here. I get to fight someone who's challenging. There was another one which was an old man, like you have to climb down this insane cliff. It's like some of them were really cool. And then you get to the one where he's like, I guess I kill people too.
I'm also here.
I really like the one where he was like, this is just a job to me. Like, he'll take it. Like, I really like that sort of story to a guy.
But like, Bob enjoys that trope.
Yes, it's a fun trope. Nothing personal. But yeah, they got really cool dual destinations for a lot of them. Before you find that mission, it's just like, why? They didn't give me anything. What is the point of this?
Oh, yeah, because I ran into one of them ahead of time and just murdered him, and I was like, well, that was something. Then I checked my collection.
I killed 3 of them before the quest.
What was it? 1 of 7 duels done? Or
there's 5.
2 of 9 or something? Because it counts other duels. I think it also counts the Masako one.
No, it only counts those 5.
In the collection screen?
Yeah. Because they're on the map.
Yeah. Once you talk to that guy, they're on the map. But it was just really weird to kill that guy in the middle of a field. And he's like, oh, I've been waiting for you. And I'm like, why?
I assumed he was just one of Ryuzo's cucks. He's like, oh, I guess they sent you to kill me.
Yeah, because the way the dialogue was, it was like they're mercenary / straw hats that are like, I'm just going to sit here and wait for him.
But see, that's the funny part. If it was like Ryuzo sent them out to specifically kill Jin, why are they standing in the middle of a field hoping Jin finds them?
Or in this secluded corner under a waterfall.
Dude's hanging out on the beach and he's like, yes, I was waiting for you.
I think most of them are near other stuff, except for one who has a hostage.
Yeah, that dude was fucked up.
So it's like, he will surely try to clear out the map.
How many times did you kill one of them and then just look on the ground next to them and went, oh, there's the body. Okay. Didn't even notice before the fight. I guess he had killed someone good.
It's weird that they only had those 5, though. I think it's weird that there's just like no optional duels in the last area. Although I guess there are, because there's a couple Mongol camps where the big guy comes out at the end and is like, I will fight you.
Oh, it's so fucking funny when that happens.
There's 3 of those because you got to get each piece of the Mongol armor.
Yeah.
And then they're like, all right, kill this general. And each time I was like, I remembered to get a lot of resolve.
It's just really funny because I massacre their entire camp insanely fast, blow up the powder keg, and then he comes out and he's like, why are you doing this? Come on, man.
I left for a minute.
Surely he ran out of bombs. And I'm like, I didn't, but they don't let me use those in this.
Oh, no.
I have to pretend to respect you.
Does anyone have anything else they want to bring up?
The shrines? I liked those.
I like they were cool platforming challenges.
Yeah, the fact that it had the majority of like the climbing stuff and then like swinging around different areas. It was fun to like figure out how to get through those. I think those were some standout like level design moments. I guess those were the most level design the game ends up employing.
Yeah, I also enjoyed them, especially once you got the grappling hook. I think that enhanced it a lot.
Yeah, that's when I started like really getting them, and I was like, oh, this is really neat.
Yeah, I enjoyed those a little bit. I always felt a little bad when the rewards weren't as good as I wanted them to be.
Yeah, it was it gives you options at least. Like I felt more reward for that than a lot of other things, just because it's like this has potential of being good.
The haiku.
Yeah, the haikus had no potential of being good.
I do think that the fox charms just become the best ones in the game once you've done them all. It's like, this gives me a massive increase to the damage I deal in my health.
I was I was pretty tapped out on those. Toward the end where I'm like getting everything on the map, and I'm like, oh, it's another fucking fox shrine.
See, because they made my super good charm better, I was always down for them.
Yeah. The only reason I got demotivated for those is because the game was such a fucking slip and slide, like downhill thing by the end of Act 2 especially, that the thought of raising my Inari charms from moderate increase to major was nuts. I'm like, I don't need that. I'm going to do everything else. I'm going to go get more resolve. I'm going to go sit in some hot springs.
I actually, for the whole last map, I was using the ghost armor that does that thing where if you kill someone, there's a 15% chance of someone being terrorized or terrified.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have 2 charms that double that. So basically, anytime I killed anyone, one of the other guys would just start crying.
Yeah.
I mean, that
who said we need to have a terror mechanic is a genius.
yes, I think that's hugely important.
I feel like I only had like one cool grappling hook moment in that game, which was they actually had a swingable thing near a guard tower, so I was able to jump out, then swing around the other side back inside, and it confused the dude, and I got to stealth kill him.
I really like the grappling hook, but it almost makes me laugh whenever I would use it. because it's like instant. It's not like he throws it up. It's like you hear like a heavy chunk and it spawns in the thing.
I'm glad they just made it a video game.
There's not even like a performative swing. It's just goink.
Frame 1.
Yes, it's a frame 1 invincible reversal.
Very, very excited for Ghost of Tsushima 2 to allow you to use Zundots.
Tsushima.
So that way you slice open their back and rip out their spine and crush it in your hands.
I don't think they can call it Tsushima because I really think it'll be Ghost of Blank instead of Tsushima.
Ghost of England.
They canceled that one, Dan.
That's true.
I actually just want them to do something completely different.
I'm going to be real. I don't know how well people listening to this want to hear this opinion, but I absolutely want them to go back to Infamous. I think the PS5 could offer some interesting gameplay stuff for Infamous, and I really enjoyed those games.
I wanted like either a new IP or for them to just go back to Infamous and give me another stupid superpower.
Yeah, because like by the time they could possibly ship an Infamous, if they were just going, if they were booking it, if they were able to reuse the tech from this, and not have to come up with a ton of new systems and et cetera, it will have been over 10 years since the last one. So
they give me a sword-centric power.
I mean, sure, why not? Have one of the 4 powers be a melee weapon, just a really good melee weapon. That'd be fantastic.
That's why I didn't get really into Second Son because I bought it, but I had assumed because they showed the chain so much in like pre-trailer stuff that Cole was the shooty guy. This is going to be the melee guy. And when that wasn't the case, I kind of lost interest.
That's fair. Also, based on the trailers, I feel like it was expected that the melee would be a little bit better than it is in that game. Because it's
exactly the same, basically.
It's a little bit better than 2, and 2's better than 1, but it's still not there. Like even still with this game, I feel like melee combat has to get better. I feel like it's still not there even in this one.
Yeah, I think
that way, once they master melee combat, they can wrap around to Sly Cooper, make it an action game.
It's got witch time for some reason.
But yeah, I'm torn on if I want them to do another Infamous or another one of these, because I feel like this is really close. Like this just needs some more polish, and especially the melee combat area. But I'm always up for more sneaking stuff, because I've talked about this before, there's not enough sneaking games at all. I feel like I never get those.
Yeah, no, they don't make a lot of stealth games.
This gave me a taste of that Tenchu feel, and it's...
Didn't you just play The Last of Us 2?
I mean, the stealth of that was better than it could have been. It was the level design that made it repugnant. Of just like, good job, you stealth past all of them. Now open this ice machine that's making tons of noise and shooting ice everywhere. Why is it in front of the door, Ellie? We'll never know. And I'm like, what is happening?
And too bad it's invisible before he gets to the door, too.
It's like pick your poison. Acceptable stealth with bad level design, or good stealth with no level design. Which one do you want?
With malicious level design. I don't know, man. That's complicated because The Last of Us 2 was largely ruined for me based on its story and nothing else. But we have a spoiler cast for that for anyone who's interested in that. The Last of Us 2 spoiler cast. Go check that out.
Yeah, I give it like a 9.
There's a good picture of Ellie's face in case he's a fucking liar. So I think everyone got to say what they wanted to say about this game. I guess we should get to the summaries of how we feel, just to put a bow on it and give our scores. We're going to start with the powerhouse Bob Video Games.
Sure. As much as I complained about the combat and stuff, as I just said, stealth stuff is a lot of fun. The world is immaculate looking. There's just, it always feels like something cool is around the corner. I'm gonna give it an 8. I really enjoyed this, but I feel like it could be 2 whole points better, like easily.
Mm-hmm. We'll go to KZ next.
Overall, I really enjoyed pretty much the whole game. I mean, I platinumed it over the course of like a week and a half, so that I think that means a bunch. It's one of the most beautiful games I ever played. That photo mode is fantastic. I thought the story was all right. It had a couple of moments, like we've said, that got to me a little bit. But the act of like playing it itself, there was never any like moment that just felt truly remarkable where I'm like, this game, just from the act of playing it, not just like looking at it while playing it. So I'm gonna give it an 8.
I'll go next. Ghost of Tsushima is the first game that made me wish we had a more flexible point scale, because for people who don't know, we don't do decimals, we don't do fractions. It's just whole
nuances for cucks.
It's such a complicated feeling I have about this game, where at no point really past the first few hours did it challenge me in the least. And the majority of the content is very cookie cutter. I enjoy some of the systems in it. I enjoy the stealth. I enjoy a lot of the projectile stuff. I just feel like it really didn't challenge me to need more level designs. But I can't really bring myself to give it a 7. Like, it has such beautiful things in it, and I really appreciate a lot of what it's doing. It really needs extra polish. Like, it really needs more bespoke content that comes off as more unique. So I'm going to give it, were there a decimal scale, which of course there is, it would be 8.0, right on the fucking lowest end of an 8. Just
don't worry, that's what it is right now.
Yeah, that is literally what I'm typing in. It's very complicated, my feelings for this game. I like other Sucker Punch games more. If they do a sequel to this, I want to see a lot of improvement, because I think there's a lot of room to improve. Mr. Feel.
Well, I have some problems with this game, especially the story. I also had some weird, like, polish issues as well. I also agree with KZ, where I don't feel like there was any moment where I was phenomenally wowed. Like, there was no moment that I think pushed it into a 9 or a 10, where I feel like you have to have one exact moment. You have to have at least one moment where I go, man, that's fucking cool, to get those points. But at the same time, this is the game that finally set in that Ubisoft games are just bad. And this game is designed in such a perfect way in how it doles out upgrades and rewards that my brain was constantly making dopamine the entire time, except haikus, which is why I didn't like them. Haikus were the one thing in the game that didn't give me dopamine, which is why fuck them.
Yeah, that's fair.
But everything else was either gave me an upgrade, or gave me materials to make an upgrade, or was a step on the road to an upgrade. So that's valuable. So I'm gonna give it an 8.
So what we've concluded here then is that this scored double the points of The Last of Us Part 2.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
This got a 32. Last of Us 2 got a 16. As soon as it was Feel's turn, I'm like, if he doesn't pick an 8, I'm going to negotiate.
I feel like, and I want to hear from other people, this is, as I said, it was teetering on the edge of dropping below an 8, but I think this is the most 8-ass motherfucking game maybe ever.
Yeah, it's indivisible.
Yeah, no, it is just an 8.
An actual 8, not that the 8 people gave Shadow of Mordor a real 8.
No one even fucking remembers that year.
I really need to go back and play Shadow of Mordor.
What do you mean? Shadow of Mordor was a 10.
Yeah, Shadow of Mordor.
Dan, game of the year.
Good news. Good news. You
play
can
the
get,
PS3 version.
You can get a copy of Shadow of War, the sequel, for $5 at GameStop right now.
I don't know. KZ had a pretty good plan with the PS3 version. Bob, didn't we buy that?
We did.
Yeah.
We've got to. They stripped out the Nemesis system, and I saw a video of how that runs. It is
Dan,
the
please
funniest
don't.
video game I've ever seen.
It has to load when you pause the game. You'll get enough of that in Halo Infinite.
You know, we had that really funny moment. We somehow didn't talk about like fast travel unbelievably fast in this game. If it wasn't, that would have absolutely impacted it massively. But then, hey, I would like to buy a thing from you. Okay.
There's
Loading.
There's one or two things where you can see the loading. That when you're hanging out with your horse after some missions, because one of those took like 70 seconds.
Yeah, the game's just like, I gotta reshuffle all this fucking data in order to autosave one moment. Shit.
and you can tell me all day it's for dramatic effect, but they're loading before duels.
No, yeah, absolutely. Because it's a really,
like,
whatever. Who cares? It's a dramatic thing. I'm like,
I have
it
to
gets
assume
dangerously close.
I have to assume that this game is part of the factors where Mark Cerny's like, we need to fix this.
Oh, yeah.
Because just seeing, I'm sure that the part of that 6-year dev cycle was them trying to get this loading working.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't know how they did it. It's fucking magic.
It really is. Also 6.5 years, so I'm going to continue to call it 7. It's really fucking nuts. Like, sure, they did the pre-dev on that other game, right?
Right.
Like they footage came out of that. I forget what it was called. Mythic, whatever. I don't know. Anyway, this game absolutely is the poster child of PS5, please, because you have to imagine they went through hell to get this to look as good as it does and not have constant loading and hitching. But admittedly, the snow-capped mountains are making my PS4 vanilla die, and it's running at 20 frames a second.
Why?
Doing
It's so
it.
cold.
I don't know. There's just so much shit, and my PS4 really doesn't want to deal with that.
It's almost free, unless they delay the PS5.
Shut your fucking mouth.
I'm gonna go ahead and second that. KZ, shut your fucking mouth. 2020's been bad enough. Don't do that to me, man.
But honor.
My honor.
Sony wanted to ship the PS5 faster, so they poisoned everyone else at the factory not working on their consoles. Oh no.
No, poor Foxconn.
This month's GigaBoots videos have erupted into reality thanks to the money magic of our executive producers. Esme, Nicholas Cameron, E. Lee Broyles, Star Falcon, Spaceman Spiff, Danny Richardson, Red Blaze 27, They Podlord Now, and local himbo Adam Admar. Thank you very much to our executive producers. And also these guys. If you want to become powerful like our executive producers, you can head on over to patreon.com/gigaboots today.